like a drum roll.
I know. So everybody be on your best behavior. You are now live and vocal.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
You can't be sweet to Jeff.
But y'all have a quorum with
He's our deacon, so I can be sweet.
Oh, yeah. Y'all have a quorum with 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm always getting comments from people that sit like there's some dead zone. And they're always telling me they can't hear me.
I can hear you plain. It's the other ones I can't hear.
Well,
That follows.
I'm out here, y'all. Y'all have a great time.
This is all
Yeah.
Get away from this one.
There, Miss Lori, Kyle, and
Lori,
Lori, Kyle,
and Dan Malone.
Do they know where parking for? Or do I-
Yeah.
Oh,
Is somebody out there?
No, I don't see anybody.
well, if they show up, they show up.
This is strange.
Yeah, you got a quorum, so. I had, usually I get an email sometimes from the Maloney's if they're not gonna be able to attend, but I didn't see anything.
maybe the traffic's
The only one that
Yeah.
even was for Miss
coming in for San Antonio.
No, they don't. Any of them come from San Antonio. We'll wait one more minute. And
I
then call to
texted
order.
Lori. She usually surprises.
Oh, yeah. Lori's usually here, too.
Y'all can have makeup and hair next time.
It scared her off being on TV.
Y'all be wearing suits and.
Oh,
I
really? Yeah, right.
Don't think so.
We'll have to get y'all City of Cashville shirts to wear.
Exactly.
There we
Little
go.
polos.
Just what I need, another polo.
Does
I've got-
HNC on it?
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, you have,
Yeah. I wear them when I do the tours.
What's that?
uh,
Oh, you're seeing
Shirts. Yeah, the
Yeah, but we should get them.
Priscilla?
Priscilla.
Lori just texted me back, said she had emailed you about her
oops.
not being able to come tonight.
Oh, I didn't. I
Get your
didn't see.
email.
I don't have a. I don't have my phone with me, but I didn't see. I looked at my phone right before I left.
She emailed it.
Oh, she emailed it. Oh,
she
I
said.
didn't go upstairs. Okay. So, all right. Well, let's call to order at 6:30. Can I have an attendance roll call, please?
Doug DeMino.
Jeff Gardner here.
Mary King.
And Priscilla Garrett. We are missing 3, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and continue. I need somebody to take minutes.
I'll kind of take
Will you
minutes.
kind of take minutes? Okay.
Not real good.
Kyle usually takes minutes. Okay. Do we have any citizens' comments? We're going to open citizens' comments at 6:31. We'll give you 3 minutes to talk. I do not see anyone coming to the podium, so we'll close at the same time. Approval of minutes, A, from April 15th, 2025, and from May 20th, 2025. Give us time to look at them. Oh, here's Dan.
There you go. And Dan.
And Dan. We started, but come on.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, her blood pressure dropped. It was
Oh,
Oh, dear.
scary, but it's come back up.
It's okay, that's good. Kyle's not gonna be here and Lori's not gonna be here, so. You might wanna just sit right here next to me. And we are live streaming, just to let you know, okay? Okay, if we've had time to review minutes, could I get a motion or any comments?
Sure, I move that we approve the meeting minutes from April 15th, 2025 as written.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Can we do minutes from May 20th? Do I have a motion?
Sure, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from May 20, 2025 as written.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 5, discussion and action items. discussion about the signs at 1303 Lorenzo, Castroville Barbecue Company, and B, discussion and action on a certificate of appropriateness for 1212 Fiorulola. Let's start with item A on the Castroville Barbecue Company. Brianna?
Sorry. Selena's here. So, okay, I'm gonna defer.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know y'all are used to it for me to do it, but Selena's here. She is the one that's making the
I'm
presentations now,
sorry.
so I'm gonna let her take the reins on it unless there's questions that come
My
up.
mistake.
So I believe we are just hearing from the property owner about the update on the existing signage. We have it here for you to see. This is what it looks like right now, and the property owner is present. You can go ahead and present.
May I hand out some items?
Sure. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Clay Binford. I'm representing the ownership group of the building at 1303 Lorenzo, the Old Town Castroville Revitalization Initiative. First of all, I want to thank you for entertaining this item tonight and let you know that I appreciate the difficulty of the job that is often placed in front of you. And the reason why I'm here is I understand that this was brought before in a prior meeting, and there was some misinformation, miscommunication that I'm hoping here to clarify. And hopefully that answers some questions and also provides you some of the thought process behind the actions that we took and the timeline associated with it, which I think is extremely important. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the historical designation of the building itself. And the fact that prior to our involvement, the building was not historically designated. It was in fact through our great effort that it became recognized as a historical building. When we purchased the building in 2021, I would remind this board that there was no jurisdiction of this commission over the construction activity at that building at that time. And it was slated for being razed, torn down, and replaced with single-family lock and leave units. And one of the impetuses of our purchase of the building was to, in fact, acquire it and preserve it and bring it back into due life. And so we did that. We came up with a significant plan and significant cost. We submitted a building permit to the city, was received and signed on August 31st of 2022. We did not have any guarantee that we were going to achieve historical recognition. That's an important component of this, and I know some statements were made that said that we received federal money or we received state money as part of our capital plan to renovate the building. That's not true, and that's not the way that this works. The state of Texas, and in partnership with the National Park Service, has a program that allows for property owners that undertake significant renovation to historical commercial buildings and place them into service are eligible for a tax credit. There are two types of tax credits. There's one on the federal side, and there's one on the state side. The state side, because we do not pay state income tax, is awarded in the form of franchise tax credits, which can be sold to third parties like banks and insurance companies on a dollar-for-dollar basis. They're awarded based on 25% of your qualifying expense. In order to receive state credits, you have to be recognized on the National Register of Historic Places. Many buildings in Castroville, as you're aware, are on that register as a matter of being part of the 1970 Historical Survey. In 1970, the building, which was built in 1925, I believe, was not old enough to qualify for historical designation. So, and there has not been an updated survey. I think there was some work that was done in the early 2000s, but it was not formally submitted to recertify. So we had to undertake the process to petition to the National Park Service to individually view this building as contributing to the historical character of downtown Castroville and the historical district so that it could be individually recognized. And if you see in the first page of the handout that I gave you, on April 12th of 2024, we received on the second page, the backside of this, Dan's Meat Market and Saloon was recognized in the Federal Register as being designated historical. And on the basis of that, you will then see from the Texas Historical Commission that we received recognition of the project as being eligible for participation in the tax credit program. Now, that does not mean that everything that we do now has to go through either the state or national historical regulatory bodies. It means that if we want to pursue a construction project for which we would seek tax credit, then we have to go through their formal process. So not everything that we did or that we do has ever anticipated to be qualifying for tax credit treatment. So they do not have oversight or say into what we do on things that we do not include as part of our overall package. Now, I do remind that if you look at the next page, this is our commercial construction permit, signed on August 31st of 2022. We went into this project with no guarantees that we would be able to convince the Historical Commission that this was in fact a contributing property, or that the work that we were doing that we would like to submit would qualify for tax credits. We took that as our own risk. Now, when we went and decided what we wanted to do with this building, this commission again did not have regulatory oversight over that. Murals and outdoor signage and things of that nature to make this a local gathering place, something that would be a photographable, kind of a vibrant location was always in our building plan. And so everything that we did under our construction permit was under the umbrella of the authority that we received. Now, building projects, I would like to say that they have a definitive beginning and end. And so something of this magnitude, for fully 2.5 or 3 years, we have continued doing elements of construction that we just could not do within the initial period of time. ADA compliance, where are rough spots in concretes? Do we have enough funding to complete what we planned on doing? Is there a start and an end for a construction project? I will tell you that because this was already part of our original plan, we believe that we were under this commercial construction permit operating and through conclusion, and intervening our commencement and our completion. This board came into being to have oversight, not on the building because it was on your original register of designation, but because there was an interpretation that applied this to your authority to the entirety of the historical district, which we are clearly in. That does not necessarily, in my opinion, retroactively pick up all ongoing live construction projects. We understand that there is an oversight on here. We did not view this to be of a project of that character that would fall within that jurisdiction. We do not flaunt rules. We do not try to do things that are not approved or that are not compliant. But this was one that we thought we were covered under an existing construction permit. Assuming that is not the case, we are now operating under historical guidelines that were written on December 10th and approved on December 10th of 2014. A lot has changed since that time, including the role of this commission in your oversight over an entirely different group of buildings than possibly these rules were written on. But I do point out on page 60 that it says paint signs on band above windows on stucco commercial buildings. We do have that in your historical guidelines. If you turn to the next page, we have your historical design color palette, and all of the colors that are on those signs are within this palette. The next page, I'll also show you that we have a proclamation where we received from the City Council in 2021 before we commenced any of our activities. And I direct you to the third whereas clause, and it says that we believe neighborhoods are welcoming when they have safe, walkable, and beautiful streetscapes, and they endeavor for their spaces to foster community, offering platforms for shared public enjoyment of arts and cultures. So the final page on this that I'd like to point out is these are pages from local students' Instagram and Facebook pages that they took on prom night. And I take a lot of pride in this, that they sought this out and that they took their pictures in front of this. I didn't ask anybody to do this. This is things that have come to our attention. It's exactly what we had intended to do. And I want to express my sincere apologies for causing the angst and animus and the complaints that you've received. But I do believe that we are under direct authority from a construction permit that was issued before the change in oversight on this board, a continuation of a completed construction project. The fact that we have another project here tonight is demonstrative of the fact that we believe that new construction projects are in fact within your purview, and we anticipate going through the full process to receive the certificate of appropriateness before we commence. This is one that I have, again, I'm a rule follower, but I also do not want to be adherent to rules that don't necessarily apply given the facts of the circumstance in front of us. And I want to make sure that if there's a requirement or there's a punishment, that it is exactly valid and something that we are compelled and required to adhere to. So this is my presentation. I'd like to have this be a conversation, but I'm having trouble understanding where this is one where we have done something wrong.
Can we have some comments from Selena first? Okay.
No, you're fine. Yeah, just speak up, and I'm gonna see. I think that they have a microphone. You keep talking, doing your thing.
Okay, so for the designation, because Castroville is a certified local government, if any changes are made on a national, register of historic listing, I would have to notify them, so they're aware. I understand if you're not using, state or tax money for the grants, there's not, you don't have to go through that process, but I do have to notify them as the certified local government representative of Castroville,
Notify them of what?
what changes are being done on the building.
Okay, and it's a notification though, it's not an approval process, correct?
It's a notification. There's an approval process if you're using federal or state money for those projects.
Which we're not.
Which you're not, you just confirmed you're not.
Mhm.
We weren't aware of that. We thought you were using those monies, so there is no process for that, but they still need to be notified, which they were notified. For another comment on the commercial construction permit that you received back in 2022. Brianna, if you can help me out with this, but is there a separate permit that they have to get for signage though?
That's correct. So whenever any business comes into the city of Castroville, there is a commercial construction permit, as y'all got, but there's also signage permits that are required. So that typically signage does not fall under the original commercial construction permit.
But that's not us, right? We wouldn't be looking at the sign ordinance.
So signage is in the historic guidelines.
Right.
So it would
It's
have
part
to,
of it, but there's also a separate ordinance.
right, so there's a sign permit, right? But there's also, you guys have sign permits?
So there's
Yes.
a
Okay.
two-part process.
Correct.
That's correct.
Mhm.
But what is the definition of a sign in this context? And I'm just, I mean, this is exterior, it's part of the building, part of the painting.
So it does say in the sign ordinance that anything either painted on or affixed to the building is considered a sign, not just like something that you hang on top of it.
Okay,
And I believe there is a definition in the the CZO. I think I included it in the letter that I sent out to you, my comments, where it defines a sign, and a mural is also considered a sign per those definitions.
okay.
And also in that letter, I don't think I had comments about the colors because I did agree that they are this color palette, but I know I had comments on the size of the sign. So that's, I would have to pull that letter up, but I know the size was the biggest recommendation that I brought to the board on that.
And what is the basis for that?
So, I don't have that letter with me, but the sign is not supposed to overpower the building. And I did give some examples, historic examples of the signage where there was Dance Meat Market. They were smaller, it didn't overpower the building, but the sign that was placed there on the front of the building now, it's pretty prominent. It takes away from the historical character of the building.
But if you look at some of the historical pictures of that specifically, they hung all kinds of signs and painted things on there. I mean, from an overpowering perspective versus being prominent, those are two different things. And if you look at the entire surface of the building from a square footage perspective, the amount that's painted is very small.
It was on that main facade though. I think it takes up, I mean, it's a pretty large sign, and the historic signs that I showed were a little smaller than,
Says Castroville.
yeah, the Castroville sign in the front of the building. It takes up pretty much the whole, most of the second story on that facade, on that part of the building. So that was one of the recommendations, is making that smaller, for that sign.
Okay, so that's a recommendation.
Well,
Yes, but
Can I ask a question?
sure.
At this point, I mean, I know the sign ordinance, the standalone sign ordinance lists how big the signs can be on any commercial building.
Yeah, I think if we were going up by just the sign ordinance itself, that this would fall within those regulations.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a percentage of the total square footage of the walls, and those walls are significant, and so and the signs are.
So I guess it would be helpful, I think, for me anyway, to understand whether these signs, these two painted signs, would be acceptable under the standalone sign ordinance. And then we can take
Yeah.
it from there.
I could pretty definitely tell you that they would be okay.
It would be? Okay.
Yeah,
Even the flag?
even the flag, because even though it's big up on top, those are two flat surfaces, and the only thing that you have to subtract from those surfaces are doors and windows, and it's still pretty significant. So that 10%, I think that they still meet within that 10%.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
That's
it's okay.
okay.
I mean, that's all my comments from what you're saying. Did you have any questions for me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify that this is not a C of A request because we didn't put it on that. We didn't notice it for that. This is, we wanted to get some information from the property owners on where this was at, what their take on everything was at. But this would be a good time to ask any questions, of course, but also get direction on how we should move forward, because what Mr. Binford is saying, that he doesn't believe that it should come before y'all because it wasn't already in the historic district. It wasn't prior in the historic district when all y'all regulated was the 96 homes. But now that the historic district has expanded, that now you do regulate it. So that's going to be an HLC call on whether y'all still want this to come to y'all before a C of A, or if y'all want it to remain as is. So.
Well, I think that the ordinance was passed in 2017, right?
That was correct. The ordinance passed in 2017.
And it wasn't enforced until, what, 2 years ago?
If that, I would say probably closer to like a year and a half
But it
ago.
was still on the books, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to say that this is, we are going to be here for a very long time. And this is, in my view, a collaborative process. And I enjoy when people are excited about what we're doing downtown, particularly the youth, because that's what keeps a community alive. I think that, I'll get on a soapbox here. There's a difference between establishing museums and maintaining vibrancy for additional history to be built over time. And, we talk about buildings, and I understand that the ordinance was on the books in 2017, but by the city's own interpretation, they don't start enforcing it until 2024, and they expand the charge from 96 historical buildings to an entire district that comprises homes built across a century or more. Every one of those 96 homes, I'm betting, has running water, air conditioning, and electricity. Our goal is to maintain the character of a building that can allow it to build on that history and to become a part of it itself. And I want that to be the case with all of our buildings. Kids going to the Rainbow Theater, it's a resurrection of my history that I remember when I was a kid. I would like to have a collaboration of input, understanding, okay, would this have been approved had we submitted it, arguably as to whether we needed to? Maybe, that would have been within your discretion. But I think that we could all agree that there are credible arguments on both sides of this. And I know that you did field a couple of complaints. I would ask, what are the motivations of the complaints? And the fact that we have hundreds, if not thousands, of people that didn't say anything tells me that there's a lot of people that have no issue with it. I would like for us to have an ongoing relationship and discussion about what we can do to continue to build in this district, and understanding that more of this probably needs to come to you first to consider. If we add to this, do we put something to mute it or to take away from the prominence? We're committed to doing that. What I really don't want to do is when we start getting traction in people that want to showcase this to the communities to come and have to paint over it or paint it down or look like we did something that was wrong that can then be used against us in a negative way. I want this to be a collaborative learning process for all of us and to build something that we can all be proud of.
Selena, you mentioned in something that when we had talked about it before, the damage that painting significantly over this could possibly do to a building. Did
I
you
had
look at that further? Or did you?
So when a historic building or any building is painted over, historic brick in this case, or stucco, it traps in moisture and it causes deterioration at a more rapid pace. So that's what I was saying last time. And that's why when someone wanted to paint their brick in another case, we were against it because of that.
Is any of the signage as big as it is on the front of the building? Because you think you need to attract people to get to your business?
Absolutely.
But you're the only food business on the square.
We're also,
Everybody in town knows where you are. It'll be the people, the tourists that come, but they're gonna all have you on their phone. When we look at the building that got done beautifully next door to us, a small hanging sign advertises that eating facility. It isn't anything that pops like this does when you walk around. And I think that's what the comments that we did receive, that's some of the things that came into it, that it was like a jolt when they get into having those kind of signs. And we had just, we look at the square differently than we look, of course, at the commercial area. And we had just, a couple of meetings before, the church wanted to do some differences with their sign out front. And it would have been some blinking stuff, right, that was happening. And, we suggested no. We didn't suggest no, but we said no. It's not that you have to attract attention to here, I don't think, with this much signage. What would be wrong with where the sign is on the front with a well-done wooden hanging one like there are elsewhere around town?
well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with your business proposition on the two different businesses. This building, beside City Hall, is completely different in character and use. It is predominantly office building, and we have one fine dining restaurant that caters to an entirely different clientele. Barbecue in Texas is boisterous, it is flamboyant, it attracts tourism. We have car shows, we have motorcycle clubs, and the challenge that we have for financial viability is the fact that we do not have Highway 90 frontage. We do not have signage. We do not have the ability to sustain the buildings and the capital investment that it takes in order to rehabilitate these buildings by relying on locals who know where it is alone. We need to proliferate the social media aspect to where people want to stand in front of it and they want to take their picture in front of it and they want to post it online, because that then attracts other people to come here. And so when we do that, the city benefits in the form of increased sales tax. Visitors, tourism spill over to other businesses. It is very definitely an attempt to mitigate the lack of road frontage that we have by not being on Highway 90.
Okay. Doug, let's start with you. Some comments at all?
No, I think part of the challenge we're dealing with is you're getting an emotional response from certain people within the community about what the signs are doing to the building, not necessarily what they're doing to promote the business. And I think that is a double-edged sword from you as the business owner and us as a committee. And my thoughts is that I totally hear both sides, but I think where the hiccup occurred, as you mentioned, was that you were working from the assumption the original permit issued in 22 covered everything, but we now know it doesn't include signage. And so I think we're kind of in a catch-22 here that, if we try to do something that impacts your business by taking away your marketing opportunity, we're not helping a successful business continue to be successful. So then it becomes, I think a lot of people are using personal feelings versus what's good for the community and what's good for the business in this instance. So if I were to say my personal opinion, it doesn't affect me. I mean, I look at it and I agree, yes, it's big and bold, but as you've said, if you look at 90% of the barbecue establishments in Texas, they got a lot of loud noise signage promoting their business. The only ones that I know are less likely to do that is if you look at Burnt Bean in Seguin, they're in a historic district in Seguin, and their signage is much more toned down and probably more in line with what people would have liked to have seen on your business. So, I think there should be some kind of compromise in regards to this. I could see taking the big sign that everyone's seems to be most emotional about, which is the one that faces the church. Maybe that's where some of the problems are coming from. They walk out of mass and go, "Oh my God!" But I think if that was decreased in size, if we were going to do anything from a scaling perspective, that would be the only recommendation I had. I mean, the colors fall within the scheme, and it aligns with your marketing brand. So those are how I would look at it.
Jeff?
Yeah, I know you're coming across as being really defensive. I don't think you need to be with this group. I mean, I think that we're all here to promote good things to happen in Castroville. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we passed this ordinance in the first place, because we want to preserve and protect what we have. And so that's where we're coming from. We're not trying to put extra burdens on businesses, that's for sure, especially in these areas. I mean, you saved that building. I'll give you that. I mean, it was falling apart. I mean, they were still rendering cattle next door.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was on council, we tried to get them to stop doing it. I mean, people live right next door. But anyway, you've done a great job with that building. I think everyone's very happy with what you've done in the theater. Yeah, it's all great. So what we're concerned about is making sure that the rules are applied uniformly. And if we're talking about whether or not it should be here or not, I think it should be. I think we should be looking at this. But I think that there are some exceptions that we may want to look at because you were confused about what rules applied to you and what didn't apply to you. And I think we can take that into consideration too. And maybe we can come to some sort of compromise where you can modify that a little bit. I mean, I haven't heard any complaints about your signage, frankly. And until I've seen this, I drive by that almost every day and I haven't seen that Texas sign. It just hasn't caught my attention. So, I mean, I don't think.
Maybe we need to make it louder.
Yeah, you should have made it bigger, right? No, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think that one is a really big deal. It's not facing the main square. If you would have come to us before you put the signs up, we probably would have helped you come up with something that was a little bit more in keeping with what we were looking for. But I think that, if you bring this forward for CNA, I think that we can come to some sort of workable agreement that makes you happy and you can't make everyone in the city happy. I can tell you that right now. There's always going to be somebody that's going to complain. And so, yeah, there might have been a few complaints, but how many people live in this town, right? And I don't think any formal complaints have been made to this commission either. So I just don't see this as a huge problem. I think we can work around it. I think we can work together as partners, you know?
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you saying that because I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it was being made out, if I came across as defensive, I apologize. That's not my intent. It was really to come here and hopefully correct some misinformation that had gotten back to me third and fourth hand.
Yeah, so I haven't heard any of that. And, you know, Selena's really good. She helps us and she helps us toe the line. But, you know, we're all human beings and, you know, we try to make the best of every situation. Whatever's best for Castroville, I mean, that's really the thing. It's not, aesthetics are nice, but if they don't make any sense because they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or something to fix, then maybe we can just modify, right? So maybe we can figure something out or leave it as is. I don't know, but I think you should bring it back to us so that we can take a proper look at it.
Okay.
Mary?
I also want to thank y'all for fixing the building. I think y'all did a marvelous job in Dan's Meat Market, and I appreciate the way it looks. And I know if we didn't know it was in the historical district, I personally don't think the signs, I have an issue with the signs. I don't know all the all the rules, but I think they look nice. If I had any problems, it's the temporary signs on the historic building. I guess those are two temporary signs.
The two little ones?
The two
Yeah,
little
they're-
ones, because that detracts from the historic building. But the other two, it's always been a commercial place and there's always been commercial signs. So I guess that doesn't bother me. We appreciate the barbecue place being there because I don't know how many times I've been at the Living History Center and people come after they've been there. They just come to Castroville to go there, and they come, and I see them with shopping bags, and they come to the museum. So y'all have really benefited Castroville.
I can go take those temporary signs down right now and we'll call it a day.
Dan?
I agree with the opinions expressed. I really appreciate what you've done, keeping it historically correct. The signs they did kind of boldly jump out to me as well, but I agree that I think there's probably some kind of
Middle ground.
middle ground, some kind of compromise, and work through it. I don't think it's a complete redo.
Okay, since you said it, I want you to go after this meeting and go take the two little signs down. But I would like to see, like Jeff said, I would like to see y'all come back for a C of A with some kind of middle ground.
I think Selena can work with.
I think so,
Equalite
too.
On maybe coming up with some tweak or something.
But I'd like a little bit of clarity on that because I'm hearing, I'm not offended by it. The signs are okay. I'd probably approve it if it was submitted, but then a middle ground. That's a little confusing to me.
I'm not as offended by the flag,
Mhm.
but don't like to use the word offended. I feel like the big one that faces the church is a little inappropriate as to where it is. And the two little ones, so, you're looking at four different things on that building now.
Okay, well, disregard the temporaries.
Disregard the temporaries, okay. I would like to, see if you can work with Selena to see if she can, in some way, I think everyone is just more concerned with the one facing the church than the flag. I can understand how the kids would like to see a picture like that. It's on the side street. I don't have that, but I would like to have a C of A or request a C of A to come
I mean, I think that's fair.
And-
It is an understanding, especially because I know when y'all started this project, y'all were in the historic district, and now it seems like now y'all are falling into it. So I think going through the C of A process is we've made other people that had done projects on their homes and businesses before go through this process, even though they hadn't before. So I think that's fair. And then we can work with Selena. I do think probably taking those temporary, if I'm being honest, those were probably supposed to be taken down months ago because they're only allowed for 10 days per the ordinance. So that's probably a good starting point.
Sure.
And we can bring back next time and see where we go with that.
Now, we did actually apply for C of A.
Yes, and it went, it got not tabled. We just took no action on it last time because it was thought that this had to go through THC. And
Okay, so,
THC always overrides the Historic Landmark Commission.
so I'm just trying to make sure that we understand the process.
Mhm.
So we did submit C of A. This board took no action on it.
Mhm.
So now we're back here today,
Mhm.
and we're being asked to submit a C of A.
We can use that original one. It's just that we took no action on it because we just didn't think that we wanted to give THC the opportunity to be able to review it if it was in their purview before they took action, because they override our HLC regardless.
But what we're looking to do on this is not act on the one that was submitted, but to work with Selena on some kind of a softening of the main, of the one facing the church,
Mhm.
and then bring it back for approval
Yeah.
or consideration.
And if you don't think that a change should be made, then we'll just look at your original CNA.
Okay,
Yeah, we can, but we could take that original one. I've already.
okay, I just want to make sure that I understand the procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fee that we paid associated with that?
It's already included. Y'all have
Got
already
it.
paid it. We won't make y'all repay that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
All right.
All right.
Thank y'all.
I
Interesting.
won't call you again, Clay.
You have my number, you're welcome to. All of you are welcome to.
Thanks for all the information.
Okay, let's go to item B. Discussion and action on the C of A for 1212 Fiorella, right across the street. Do we have anybody here? That, in case there are questions or something? So we have somebody that can answer.
I'm happy to answer
Raise your
questions.
hand again. Okay, Selena.
Okay, so the applicant is requesting to enclose a carport to an existing detached garage. This is where the property is located, right across from us, in the corner of Fiorella and Parish Street. It's located in an HE zone and is part of the 1969 and 2002 THC Historic Resources Surveys. But even though the property is part of both those surveys, the carport garage structure is only documented in the 2002 survey, and it was listed as a low non-contributing structure built in 1985. So this is what the existing structure looks like now. The applicant is proposing, again, to enclose that carport with the same vertical wood siding on the garage and use the existing French doors on the garage as an entry. The applicant is also proposing to add 2 new doors that will match the existing Craftsman's door on the side of the structure. And you can see that here, if you guys are familiar with that building. Those French doors that are on the garage, they're going to, again, enclose that carport and move those French doors to open to where the carport is now.
To the front.
To the front, yes.
So will those doors be in the middle, same side
Yes.
as they currently are?
So this is an elevation that they provided. It is going to be centered on that carport. And then again, that siding will match what's already existing there.
We'll still be set back under the porch, though.
And then the doors will look like this, similar to this. So I only had 2 comments on this one. One was to clarify, in their application, it says that they're going to add folding doors to exterior garage portion for security, but the plans didn't show those existing folding doors. I wasn't sure if those were completely going away or you're still gonna reuse those folding doors.
Are they going away? No?
So the French doors will move to the middle, and the rest of the carport that is exposed, that isn't closed in, will just have those glass folding doors for security.
And they're gonna be glass folding doors, because these are the folding doors right now, is that correct?
Yes, it would be glass, or we would propose that there would be
On the side?
glass. Right in the front. Just to, we do plan on having items outside of the French doors that we would want secure when there is nobody in the building. Where the cars are currently parked.
So
Would it
Guess
help
I'm
if,
not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm not-
Yeah.
would it help if we walked outside?
Well,
I guess one thing I was having issues with is understanding it. That's why I was asking for all those materials. And you did provide an elevation, but
I'm going to recommend that we remove that part till we have a little bit of definition around that and just talk about the interior pieces. As far as what we would do on the outside, that's still a little bit of a moving target. And so I would just ask for the interior piece right now.
the interior being
The French doors.
Remove the glass
Yeah.
security doors.
Okay, so
So
then
go with what the plans show right here.
all right, so it would be the siding. So it would be the French doors in the middle, and then on each side would be just the siding that matches here. No folding doors with glass panels.
No, it would be open.
Okay, so
How far is the old wall, new wall gonna come out to, just like halfway through the
Or
carport?
it'll come 4 feet forward
Okay.
To the front of the building?
towards the front of the butt, towards the front, yes.
Even with the front of the building?
No, so if you drive if you drive a car underneath the garage right now
Uh-huh.
and the nose of the car hits the wall, we'll come 4 feet forward. So a car won't be able to park under there anymore. Now, we might come back later and enclose the rest of the garage with another phase, but we would come back to you for that.
so with clarification, I do feel like this needs to have more of a visual to better understand what's going on here. But since they're reusing the materials and it's a structure built in 19, so it's not more than 50 years old. I feel like it is still compatible with the district. I just feel like we do need a better visual of what's going on.
I would need a better visual if we start talking about glass doors.
Right, and that wasn't, the glass wasn't even included in that
No.
application, so I wouldn't,
Now,
a COA.
So the additional 4 feet, is this gonna become another retail space?
correct. So on the backside of this building, there's currently an office space, and it's about 450 square feet. And we want to do a mirrored parallel 450 square feet and do doors so that you can go through the alley and walk through the middle of a retail store and go out into the yard. So we want 2 of those spaces. And then depending on how that works, we really are trying to do this on a budget, which is why we don't have an architect with full elevation because they're very expensive. But then we would come back and see if we want to do something on the exterior to fill out the garage and make the whole building usable. But we would, of course, because that would be more visual and change, we would have better renderings for that.
Those are all my comments.
So do you think we should wait until we have everything in one package, or, I mean,
Well,
So-
not if they're not gonna do the glass, and they're strictly gonna add the 4 feet to the front,
uh-huh.
full width of the building, and they're gonna move these
Same
doors
doors,
to
leave
the
the same
middle.
doors.
I don't know why we need real architectural renderings
No, we don't need that.
For this part.
for this
Right.
part.
The third phase, the next phase may never happen. So it's going to be based on a business case.
I'm glad to see you're using what is there and not proposing something else to go in. Mary?
I don't have a problem with it. It's gonna be board and batten is what that is, and
Mhm.
the French doors, that, it's fine with me.
Dan?
Sounds like it's in keeping with what's already there. I think it make it look good.
Okay, any other comments? Jeff, did you have any more?
No, I think that's fine.
Can I get a motion?
How do we,
How do
Craft
we
that
do
motion.
this? How do we craft it?
I would say, let me see what the wordage was. Their application, so I would just say approve per the application without the folding doors.
To enclose existing,
To enclose existing carport per the plans,
and reuse of the same doors that are currently on the building?
yes.
Does that,
but it won't be totally enclosed.
4 feet out. I will,
Yeah, I would just say approve the 450 square feet additional enclosed space using the board and batten construction and moving the existing French doors to be part of the new construction.
You have all that, Mary?
Did you get
No,
that,
I
Mary?
You have to go
I'm
a
just
lot
kinda
slower.
Write it out there.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have
That
to,
done.
you don't have
want me
to
to
put
write
all
that.
the, you don't have to put all the materials, because we'll include that in the C of A that actually gets signed. But maybe just say, we approve this certificate of appropriateness as presented, except for the exterior wall or something, and
The
we'll,
exterior glass wall.
the exterior
Do we
glass
really
wall.
need to even address that?
No, it's not part of the application.
It's not, right?
The folding doors are in the application, they're not in the plans though. So it
I-
is,
If you can strike them from our application and then approve the application submitted, modified at this meeting.
That'll be, we can do that. So we'll do as presented, and then we'll strike out the glass part on the application, so.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Clay.
Thank you, Lane. Item 6, discussion on future agenda items. Anything at all? Do we have anything?
Well, I mean,
Good night, thank you.
Good night. Okay.
Here.
I guess did the P and Z pass the UDO?
Yes.
They did, okay, we're gonna just have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
The P and Z did recommend approval to city council, but I highly doubt that city council is gonna approve it. I think they're gonna vote to not move forward with the UDO and take a different direction. Yeah, so,
Maybe.
yeah, I'm like 80% sure that's how this is working out right now, just to be honest with you. So, it was at the last city council meeting, the mayor did, he put it on the agenda, but only to be able to terminate the UDO as it stands.
And that got tabled.
It did get tabled, but I don't know if we see any progress coming after that meeting. So that's kind of where we're at with it. So I'm out of town next week, and I don't know if this is going to be on the next city council agenda. I'm not sure where it stands at this point.
Okay, one other thing. Did we look at all about what Cindy Guzman's son wants to do? Did we look at that at September Square? Did we talk about that at one time?
Well,
An entryway into September
Well,
Square?
they came before us
Right.
last year, right?
Yes, well, okay. That is now in the works. They have it all figured out. And I told Cindy that she needed to first go back to American Legion, because that's who she had gone to first, because they're the ones that say the most when we're going to do something to September Square. And so she presented to them. They are in favor of what they're proposing. And so I am going to tell her, I talked to Brianna, I'm going to tell her, we had told her before that she needed to go to the park board, because everybody always, it's a city park that they oversee too. So she needs to go to the park board, plus she needs to go to P&Z and then come back to us. So I'm going to try and see if she'll get on the agenda for those two in June. And she would be back to us in July, and then she would be back to us in August.
I'm just letting you know the Parks Board with meetings tomorrow. So if she's not already on that agenda, then she has to wait till July. So
Oh, she's not. Oh my God.
okay, so
Well, maybe she can get them by July, but we'll be getting it again. People have been talking a long time for some kind of entryway into September Square, because right now it's just you just walk over the antique rocks that are there, right?
when I
And
used to run down here, I'm like, how do you get on there? Oh, you just have to go through the grass.
you just go.
Hop and skip.
So in fact, one time Bob Lee, when he was mayor, he was talking about putting up this big wanted to remember that, Jeff? Do you remember that? He wanted to
I
Big-
remember that they were burning us in effigy because we were trying to
do
mess with
something.
September
I
Square.
know. He wanted to put a
Like an archway?
archway thing, at the back. But this is very well done. I mean, what they want to do, and it would give us an actual entrance to September Square that goes up, and they'll take a sidewalk up, and I should have brought it with me again. Maybe I have it. They'll take a sidewalk up, and yeah, I do. On either side here. I don't know if y'all remember it. On either side, they've got these smaller monuments.
Mhm.
One's an Air Force, one's an Army, and so on. So American Legion has said this is good, okay?
What are
So
those two?
those are two little, they're gonna have, one of them, that's at the entranceway, that's the entranceway at the top. And this is where it separates when it gets in front of the Henry Castro Monument.
Yeah.
When you go in the back, it separates and joins the two sidewalks that Garden Club put in that have all of that. So, and these are the these are the two monuments, those two little things that you're seeing right
Oh, I
there.
see.
Yeah, just to,
When you say little, how?
they're little. I mean, they don't stand
four-
like,
four
yeah,
foot.
they're not, there's nothing, it's not
That's pretty
anything.
big.
It's pretty big, but it isn't overpowering. And then there'll be benches. There'll be there's 2 or 4 benches that will have Army and on them, so. But they've got the approval of American Legion, which is, they're the ones that usually give us the most problem with messing with it. And so, okay, I'll let her know. She can get P and Z out of the way, and then she needs to get the park board and then come back to us. Okay, anything else? Do you remember what we saw that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can
We-
look on it.
Yeah.
We don't have any updates on the
I
current
joined it.
code.
Oh,
issues.
yeah.
You know, was that not on the, if it wasn't on the agenda, I did finally provide Selena a slide, but it wasn't, if I'm being honest, it wasn't until 3 o'clock today. I can quickly go through them in my head. There wasn't,
Oh,
You
you
have-
have,
okay.
Oh, look at this.
there you go. Let's see, so there hasn't been, 1401 Isabella, there hasn't been any movement on that one. There's still, Carl's still talking with the property owners, but there hasn't been any movement on that. 501 London, he did go, so if you can remember last time he was a no-show to court. He did go pay that citation, and they're still talking about if there's going to have to be any follow-up. So if the judge is going to require anything additional to paying that citation. So I believe he has to go back to court this upcoming session or the next one. 1715 Naples. That one is still, so the prosecutor is still reviewing that case.
Oh, he's the one that,
Well, this is the one that, that's the one that didn't finish the C of A for the garage.
right.
And we switched prosecutors, so we no longer have the same prosecutor. And so the prosecutor is still reviewing cases that are backlogged, and this is one of those on how they would like to move forward with that. 1714 Lisbon, really no movement in that one. That's Mr. Arroyo's home. And there hasn't been any movement on that so far from code compliance. 1713 Lisbon.
Can I,
Yes, sir.
1714, they still have all those trash cans on the street. I mean, can we get the code compliance people there just to tell them to move the places are wrecked anyway. I mean, it's just.
I need to go buy it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's two right facing each other.
Yeah. They're right
Yeah.
across from each
Yeah,
other.
they're right across from each other.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Carl tomorrow and
Okay.
just tell her to go reach out to at least get it cleaned up a little bit. And then is that the same thing? 1713 Lisbon. Oh, that's the one that they were a no show. I'm so sorry. No show to court last time either, and they requested that their new date be in August 21st for court because they wanted some time because they said they're going to try and clean that property
Well,
up.
you know, they were doing quite a bit of work. I went by there one day and
Yeah.
but they didn't even make a dent.
Yeah, I know, but they requested that the new court date be on August, and I think the judge has to be the one to approve pushing the date back, or the prosecutor. So I keep saying judge, but the prosecutor has to be the one to approve that. And so, and it's because they said they are going to clean up the property and they would like it to be cleaned up by the time they go back. So, hey, at least we have an end date on that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've cleaned the front porch off before, and then it just gets bad again.
Yeah.
It
So,
doesn't- it-
but
Maybe
hopefully
they-
this time, because of the citation stuff and it actually going to the judge in court, maybe that'll
got their attention.
maybe a little
Yeah, because
bit.
they were all out there working and chopping down stuff.
Well, great.
last
I'm happy to
week.
hear
They
that.
made a really big pile for brush pickup.
That's great. I mean, any movement is good movement, I think. And then 307 London, this one back here, I believe. I talked to Curl about this, and I think she reached out to the property owners, but she just hasn't heard anything back, and she hasn't really pursued that one
Which
yet.
one is that?
That's Dr. Bell, the vet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dr. Bell's.
So, but
Fix that up.
I know.
Such a pretty.
yeah, I know code
He was
compliance has
working
been
on it till
on the
like-
move this past month, mostly with like signage things and stuff like that. So,
Doesn't he sell it?
I don't know why he did. The same reason he doesn't sell the other piece of property right over by Public Works.
I know there's so many people that reach out to him about that one because that's a beautiful building. But
Yeah, but boy, it would cost to get that.
hey, they,
Yeah,
That would,
that
yeah.
would be a big time.
so that's where we are on our code compliance issues. Unless y'all have any additional properties I need to put on there, I'll reach out to Carl about the trash cans at 1714 Lisbon.
Thank
Yeah. Or just cleaning it up. I'll just let her know that it just needs
It
some.
would take them 30 seconds
Yeah.
to move them back to the house, that's all.
Well, isn't it the tenants then that are putting them out? Or
Well, the problem is it's an Airbnb.
Yeah,
and
And so,
I think you said that last.
he doesn't come by and do it.
Oh, I
Right
see
up
what
there.
you're saying. So they put them out whenever they're
Which one?
1714 Lisbon.
14 is the historical house, but they,
Oh, the garage
Max Best built a
Oh,
new
behind
house in the backyard.
Right. the
And
garage.
that's an Airbnb now.
One that he wasn't supposed to
Yeah.
build.
Because I think it was just supposed to be garage.
But 713 Lisbon is on our 96 list too.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is. It is.
I know you can't see that from what you're looking at.
Yep.
So, all right, but yeah, I think that's it. Unless Selena, you have anything else that?
Just have one announcement.
Yeah.
I think I told you, I sent you an email.
Yes.
But there's one house for sale in the historic district, 601 Berlin Street, and I sent the listing agent that notification so they're
Oh,
aware.
wonderful.
Oh,
Thank you.
actually, and I have one more thing that I wanted to disclose to y'all. And I haven't reached, maybe they're watching. No, nobody's watching. I need to reach out to the property owner, so I'll make sure I do this so they get this information tomorrow. But this 1005 Alamo, Ken and Arlene Smith. So, when we go through our processes for zoning and SUPs and all of those things, we go back and we look at the property and the ordinances associated to that property. We found out that in 1986, that property was actually rezoned to commercial.
Oh.
And it's just never been changed on any of the maps.
Jeez.
Yeah, so we went through all of that. I need to update the maps to reflect that. We spoke with the attorney, and even though it's been HE on the maps the past 30 years or whatever, 40 years, that ordinance still upholds. So it's no longer located in the historic district. So that's one that's
So
going
have
to
you
fall
let
out.
them know?
Huh?
Did you let them know?
Not yet. I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, I just so if you see a commercial business or if you see something
Well,
like that, that's
hopefully they'll respect where it is.
I think so.
I think they're gonna do B&Bs both those. Last I heard, that they decided just to do B&B.
okay. All right, well,
That's
great. But yeah, so if you see a commercial business, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They find out.
Yeah.
All right, and that's all I have. Yeah.
That's all I have.
That you all? Any other comments? Okay, we will adjourn at 7:33.
7:33. Okay, I'll have to make those notes. Right.
You want to type them up? Do you want to give me some notes and I'll type them?
No, I'm fine. Because you won't be able to read my script.
Well, thank you for doing that. Okay.
And I'll give them to
All right.
you first so you can
Thank you
tell
so
me to
much,
ask something
guys.
that I missed. Because I'm sure I missed.
Oh no, let me turn that off.
I never
I'm
know.
glad we'll have a full, turn it off.
Oh.
End of it.